I wanna I wanna go back to human behavior and performance coaching. I want to ask that before you started helping people, did you have to like go deep down and find out your three objectives and your three like things that can help you open up yourself before you had to open up and help others?
Yeah, so I think like anything, it's also been a process. Okay.
Yeah.
So I would tell you that I have always had a desire to help people, and I've always looked for ways to give until it hurts from my own world, even sometimes when I wasn't able to give. Now, when you start to intentionally for ways to help people outside of like just passive elements, and you decide you're going to do it for the greater good, that's one evolution. Another evolution is when you decide you're going to turn it into a business and monetize it. And then another is when you want to really become proficient in your field, not just monetize it.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I look at that from my own evolution, I've had processes of having to go inside in each one of those steps. I had to heal myself and really focus on human connection, vulnerability, and authenticity to be able to get to that greater good type of help. To turn into a business, I had to understand what was holding me back and to understand what are some of my unique gifts, what are objectives to be able to help people, and to be able to do that. And that's what I did when I started the business 6 years ago. And then 18 to 24 months ago, when I decided I'm going to go impact 1 billion lives and I'm going to leave and execute my buy sell and go do this, I had to heal a whole different side of myself, which brought elements of emotion and unpacking my own shame and the limiting beliefs that existed for me even up until that point that had kept me stuck in that place. Had I not put in that work, I wouldn't be able to help people because I would be operating from a sympathetic external study of people versus an empathetic, compassionate understanding of the emotional states that people come from. I had to feel in order to heal. And the only way I can heal other people is if I heal myself. That's not to suggest that I don't have pain still. That's not to suggest that I don't suffer still. That's not to suggest I don't fail still. I do, right? 2 weeks ago, I had 2 of the most emotionally painful and challenging weeks of my entire life. Stuff happens. Life happens. Yeah. And I'm having to now heal through that because it's giving me additional perspective to only greater help other people. But I have to recognize that my job is not to have it all figured out.
Yeah.
My job is to help individuals pull what their best is out of them. And the more life experience that I get, the more I can extract lessons from my own experiences, the more work I put on myself. And the more people I work with, the larger the body of work I have to be able to pull from a wisdom standpoint versus just approaching from a tactical, here's how I'm going to coach every single person.
Yeah.
Every process is slightly unique. And it can allow that to happen because I've put the work in myself. And so anybody that coaches with us or for us on our group coaching programs or is one of our licensed coaches, or same thing happens there. I work with each one of them individually because we've got to make sure that the foundation is strong. Otherwise, we can't carry the weight for other people. And just because we can carry the weight doesn't mean it's not heavy. So there's elements of the work that I still have to do that sometimes I even have to take a step back and pause and recalibrate because I might take the weight off of someone else. And if I'm not careful, it can stick to me. So I have to constantly be evolving down this path myself. It's the only way I can help other people.
So yeah, just like the analogy of a personal trainer, because you don't want to hire a personal trainer that's not fit. That's not like
right.
That hasn't worked on themselves. That doesn't look like they even want to work on themselves. You see those PE teachers in school, and you're like, "Well, why are you teaching me PE when you don't look like you can even do PE?"
No, it's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
So I want to move on to like one of my final questions is like you want to impact 1 billion people before 2040 or 2045?
2045.
2045. So how did that number come to be? And like is it just like a big goal that you're like, okay, or is it strategic? Like is it just a goal where you just throw it out there, or is it strategic?
Well, I based on everything that I've talked about, I think you can probably assume the answer on that because I typically don't do something just because. I do it typically with a high level of awareness and intentionality. And so I would say that it was strategic. Now, the truth is, I don't know that it'll ever be measured effectively. And so that's the part that I have to trust and surrender. Okay. But 1 billion lives, I looked at it as we've got over 7 billion people on the planet. And if you look at the modern world, people who have access to technology, there's somewhere in the arena of 2.5 billion people.
Yeah.
So I looked at it and said, okay, 1 billion would be, somewhere in the arena of 15% of our population globally. And 1 billion, and I haven't done the math exactly, so I'm roughing, right? And of the modern people who have technology, we're looking at roughly 40% of the population of people who have access to technology. I think if we can impact that amount of people, it's a large enough body of individuals that if we can do that, it'll have a ripple effect through the world that will perpetuate for time. So 1 billion people, I think, is the minimum number of people to impact to truly have social and societal change in a way that we can start to embrace people and come together and move away from the polarization, politicization, suffering, fear, hate, shame that exists in our society. So the 1 billion was a very intentional strategic number.
Yeah.
I'm also very aware to recognize that I can't get there alone. And so for me, it's not about Brian has to personally impact 1 billion people. If I talk to you and you hear one thing I say that makes a difference and you put that into your life, there's a ripple effect in your world.
Yeah.
Anybody who listens to your podcast or any other show or platform or stage I've been on, if one person hears something in that audience and there's a ripple effect in their world, that's how 1 billion happens.
Yeah.
And so it's a collective impact. And so I'm also surrounding myself with other thought leaders, people who align with the thought process. And we have a couple of movements that are actually being formalized and structured around 1 billion lives that will be rolling out in 2021. Because it's not going to happen without strategy and intentionality. And it's not going to happen alone. It's only going to happen through a core group of people committing to the fact that we deserve better as a planet.
So is this something that in 24 years, when it's 2045, you're like, I think I impacted 1 billion plus people, and then you're just like sitting there proud of yourself and just like, is that the end?
No, it's not the end. That to me is the starting point. We get to 1 billion. That's the starting point of the real work.
Okay, so just starting to wrap up because I know you have to go soon. I like to ask this question because I think it gives me a chance to like reflect on my podcasting skills. And the question is, if you were in my shoes, what would you ask yourself that I didn't?
That's a good question because I don't think about the questions to ask myself.
Because it's something like maybe you're really passionate about something that I didn't think of because I didn't do the research.
No, I know what you're getting at. I know exactly what you're getting at. I probably would have asked that if there is, I probably would have asked a question around if you had one piece of advice to help people down this path and this journey themselves to start identifying who they are and freeing themselves, what would it be? And so I'll just answer that question.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people who are waiting for someone to save them. They're waiting for a hero. They're waiting for the next best thing. They're waiting, if I just get here, then I'll be happy. Then I'll be free. Right? They're looking for the next process that helps them take back control of their lives. I'm here to tell you, nobody can or will be your hero or your savior. The only person who can do that is you. So I would really challenge everybody to recognize that if you're standing here or sitting here listening to this today, that you are a survivor. Nobody gets through life unscathed. Everybody has unique situations that knock us down, but the fact that you're still here means you have stood back up in the past. You have had the strength, the courage, the conviction to stand for yourself and believe that there's something worth living for. You're a survivor. You also have the ability to be a thriver. If you put in the work, don't look for a hero or a savior. Look for a guide. Look for a guide that can help you realign with who you are. Look for a guide that can help you understand yourself better. Look for a guide that can help unlock all that's inside of you, because I know if you're listening to this, you believe there's more that you can offer the world than you believe you are today. And I'm going to be very clear, this is not a pitch for find a coach. I don't think most people are ready for a coach. A guide could be something as simple as your kid, your spouse, your parents, a good friend, a mentor, a counselor, a therapist. A guide doesn't have to be a coach. Most people aren't ready for a coach. One of my guides was my wife. She still is one of my guides. She helps me see myself more clearly. She helps challenge conventional wisdom, but she doesn't do it to save me or to be my hero. She does it so I can stand back up on my own 2 feet, and she'll be there to hold my hand along the way. So I want everybody to hear, you can and will be the only person to save you. You can and will be the only person that can be your own hero. And you can and will have the strength to do it when you're ready.